We know that last year's budget provided $428 million for school fees, classroom improvements, and class sizes. And this year, the UCP is only providing $153 million in a one-time transfer grant. So according to our own budget documents, the minister plans to claw back $320 million in education property taxes by 2022, while at the same time cutting almost $330 million from the K-12 school system. This takes hundreds of millions of dollars away from Alberta families to pay for a $4.7 billion no-jobs corporate giveaway. Meanwhile, class sizes are getting bigger, bus times are getting longer, and kids with complex needs are losing many of the educational supports that they need to be successful.
I think we can all agree that students and the young people, the youth of this generation, are the future for Alberta. But when the government talks about a looming crisis of deficit, I'm not going to say that the deficit isn't a problem, because it sure is. But when we talk about short-term economic prosperity, we also have to talk about long-term economic prosperity. And while the short-term prosperity might detail with the current GDP growth and the economy, that long-term prosperity details directly and it relates directly with the students. So when the government talks about building prosperity, what they mean with this budget is that they only care about the short term. They only want to build an Alberta that's strong for the now so that they can probably get more votes for the next election. But when we talk about building prosperity for Albertans, for the future, and for the whole province, we see that the solution is not to cut funding for education. The solution is to increase education funding so that our students and teachers can have a better quality of education, so that they can have an easier time of teaching, an easier time of learning, and so that all students can become more educated, become productive members of society, and therefore can contribute to a stronger Alberta in the future.
This budget and the increase of school fees, the increase of transportation fees, the decrease of funding is all going to have a significant impact on the students. Why? Because there's going to be less staff. There's going to be less teachers. There's going to be less educational assistants, custodians and caretakers, librarians. Alberta provides a quality public school system, and we need to keep it as that.